Tonight I announce, for the 5th year in a row, cuts to income tax.
And the plan outlined by the Treasurer is a series of tax and is a plan that is eminently affordable.
The tax cuts cost $34 billion, roughly, over 3 years.
When it comes to election handouts, there has never been a year quite like 2007. Even before the campaign began, in the space of 5 months, taxpayers were promised 2 rounds of tax cuts worth a staggering $65 billion, financed by the biggest resource boom in our history. Come the campaign proper, attempting to win a record 5th term in office and under pressure from a new competitive Labor leader, John Howard was not going to die wondering when it came to election promises.
My fellow Australians, I want to tell you why I want to be Prime Minister of this country again.
He talked about spending promises for just 13 minutes in his speech, but spent $667 million a minute.
A re-elected coalition government will pay families' childcare tax rebate in advance. This should cut the upfront costs for families by 30%. Tax-free home savings accounts for all Australians who have yet to own their first home. Capital gains tax will be removed for Australians who share equity. A new tax rebate for education expenses, including, crucially, school fees.
The important point to note about John Howard's 2007 pitch is that he lost. He didn't just lose government to this man, he lost his own seat.
Today, I am saying loud and clear that this sort of reckless spending must stop.
I don't think spending a lot of money like they are does much good at all, at almost any level. It hardly cuts through. People are used to politicians making promises and they're pretty sceptical about whether they'll deliver.
Tony Mitchell-Moore is a qualitative pollster who 7:30 has been checking in with during the campaign to see what the focus groups are saying. In 2007, he was working for the Labor Kevin 07 campaign.
It was my first campaign and we were doing focus groups every night, and every day both sides were coming out with big promises. They were spending billions every day. And it was just surprising. There was just no cut through at all. You'd say, have you noticed anything that either of the major parties have promised over the last week or so? And they just couldn't. And so we fed that back into the campaign, and it became much more effective and it looked a lot more responsible on Kevin Rudd's part to stop doing that and say, this reckless spending must end. And at that point, he looked like he was ready to govern, and it was the sort of restraint that people wanted to see. So it was much more effective, and it didn't cost him a cent.
Political strategists believe something has snapped in the past week. The Coalition's backflip on work from home locked in a decline in all the published polls for Peter Dutton, which has made his campaign the story of the election. In the Coalition camp, MPs, campaign workers and strategists are aghast at how the wheels seem to have come off the campaign, from the lack of detailed policies to the opposition leader's unpreparedness for questions to his loose answers.
Really? You're not willing to say this is climate change happening right now?
I don't know, David, because I'm not a scientist. I don't know Donald Trump is my point.
While engaged voters may notice these things, what do the ever-increasing army of non-engaged voters pick up on if they aren't listening to the dollar promises?
You're doing pretty well yourself. Why won't you support him a bit and give him a bit of help with getting his house?
I haven't finished the excellent points I was making.
When Peter Dutton was announcing his housing policy with his son, you know, that's just another announcement. It's just politicians doing what politicians do. But when he's asked questions like, are you going to pay the deposit for your son? That is something that people can relate to.
Just over halfway to polling day, and we move into a largely lost campaigning week as many Australians make the most of close Easter and Anzac Day breaks to go away. Pre-polling opens on Tuesday. That gives the Coalition just 1 week to turn things around when normal programming resumes. Today, we saw the last phase of most election campaigns beginning in earnest, the scare campaigns.
If you've got a rental property and you think that you might leave that to your kids one day, all of that is at risk under the Albanese government. Now, at least Bill Shorten was honest with the Australian people in relation to negative gearing.
The fact that in 2025 you have someone running for Prime Minister who can't say that the science is clear, that climate change is real and it is happening, then I don't know what it takes to give a wake-up call to the coalition.